But getting to my Royal Rumble predictions for this Sunday, don't want to go too in-depth here, but I will run down the card. On the kickoff show, we've got the New Day, Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods, taking on Tyson Kidd, Cesaro, and Adam Rose in a 6-man tag team elimination match. Yes, seriously, we are actually getting this matchup. And it's obviously, it's obvious from looking down the card and the matches they announced last night, they are really desperate for an undercard on this show. Because before last night, they only had the Rumble match itself, and then the championship match. And the Rumble match, they really never do a great job of promoting and building towards, so I understand that. The title match, they did a great job of building towards, and, people are going to buy the show regardless of what the undercard is. They don't give a shit. It's all about the Rumble match, of course, but they did a great job in building intrigue and excitement and unpredictability for the first time in recent history, anyway. I don't know about of all time, when it comes to the World Championship match at the Royal Rumble. I mean, I can't remember the last time at a Royal Rumble where we got a championship matchup that you really didn't know who could come out victorious. I mean, John Cena could win his 16th world title here. Seth Rollins, after all after the huge rub that he's gotten in recent weeks from this whole angle, he could walk away with the gold after even cashing in Money in the Bank. And Brock Lesnar could very well be that third wheel, the guy that's been overlooked as of late, unlike, excluding last night's showing. He could walk out with the championship gold going into WrestleMania, where I hope to see him face Daniel Bryan for that title. So it's a very, it's all unpredictable when it comes to both the Rumble match and the championship match as well. So both should be great, but like I said before, the undercard is very weak, but who gives a shit? Because at the end of the day, it's all about the Rumble match and the championship match. Mostly about the Rumble match, but the championship match I'm also equally excited for. But like I said before, New Day versus Kidd, Cesaro, and Adam Rose. It sucks to see Kidd and Cesaro in this role. I mean, to have the New Day, feuding with some tag team like Goldust and Stardust, who I like as well. I like Cody Rhodes and Goldust, not so much Stardust and Goldust. I'm not a Stardust fan. I made that very clear in the past. But still, I would love to see Kidd and Cesaro contending for the tag team titles and not losing to the New Day. They lost last week on Raw. They lost this week on Raw to the New Day. It's ridiculous. But it's tag team elimination rules, so not that it really adds anything. It's on the kickoff show, and of course I fully expect the New Day to go over. I would love to see them, shock me. It doesn't really matter. It's a kickoff match, so it really doesn't matter regardless. I would love to see them shock me and having them go, have Kidd, Cesaro, and Adam Rose go over. Mainly because it's an elimination match, have Cesaro eliminate all 3 members of the New Day and have him be the sole survivor of this matchup, or even Tyson Kidd even. That would be great, and, putting them next in line for a championship matchup at Fastlane before they move on to the Ascension with the Usos. It really doesn't matter, but I would love to see, that be the next feud they take and have that be the course they take in this matchup. Don't expect it whatsoever. Like I said before, though, they'll probably have the New Day go over, so they're my pick, unfortunately. And speaking of tag teams, we have another tag team match in the show. Actually, 2 other ones, but first, we've got the New Age Outlaws versus the Ascension. This is, stemming from the attack from the New Age Outlaws on the Ascension last night on Monday Night Raw. Really random match, obviously, and I mean, if anything, you would have the Ascension going, 2-on-2 with Demolition, because they're the real tag team they've been calling out. Legion of Doom, one half of them has been passed away, obviously, unfortunately, so you can't do that matchup unless Animal reunites with someone like a Heidenreich again, like we saw 10 years ago, which I really do not want to see at all, but I think Demolition would be cool. But that being said, though, the New Age Outlaws are a nice consolation prize. I mean, it's hard to imagine that, 1 year ago today, it was Billy Gunn of the New Age Outlaws competed in CM Punk's final Raw match, potentially ever, which is, that's really saying something, which sucks. And it wasn't even that good of a match either, which, that's even worse. But still, though, going back to the topic at hand here, it should be a good match if the New Age Outlaws still got it. I mean, the last time we saw them on TV, they were at WrestleMania and losing to the Shield in about 2 minutes, if anyone can remember that, as heels. But now they're back as baby faces where they belong, because I think they're much more over as faces at this point in time than they are heels. But should be a good matchup. I don't hate the Ascension as many other people do, so this should be a fine contest. A lot of people argue that they were buried, the Ascension that was in the segment last night and being attacked by all these legends. I didn't really see it that way. I mean, they've been on a dominant roll since they arrived about a month ago, so having them, show a little bit of weakness in that one segment and get a nice rub from all these other legendary tag teams was completely okay. I really didn't have a problem with that whatsoever. So as long as they win in this matchup, that's all I'm content with. So I've got the Ascension going over here. Up next, actually, the entire card is made up of tag team. The entire undercard, except for the championship match and the Rumble match, is made up of tag team matches. I just realized that. But the Divas match on the show, Paige and Natalya taking on the Bella Twins. No Divas Championship on the line. So I complained about that initially last night on Twitter, and that it's a real waste of a matchup if they don't even have the championship on the line. But someone then since pointed out to me that Nikki Bella has injured her hamstring or something like that at a live event over the weekend. So I guess they probably want to protect her in this matchup by having Brie Bella do most of the in-ring work. Okay, so that makes sense. I do retract my statement then. That makes a lot more sense. So I don't have a huge problem with the matchup, but still, like, the Divas division right now feels really, really weak. The whole Paige babyface turn was really out of nowhere. Brie Bella has yet to explain her actions. Nikki Bella is very good. I really haven't been given any incentive to care about Natalya. But still, though, the match should be okay. I've got the duo of Paige and Natalya going over here. It really doesn't matter. I've just got them going over, maybe with Natalya pinning Nikki or Paige pinning Nikki to earn a future Divas Championship matchup. Maybe the next night on Raw or at Fastlane. I really have no idea. But I've got the babyfaces going over there. Tag team titles, Usos versus Miz, Dow, and Miz. We've seen this match a million times over, but the saving grace of it is that it will likely be the last time we ever see them clash, which is great to see. Obviously, they're teasing tension between Miz and Mizdow, which they should hopefully do in the Rumble match itself. And there's really no reason for them to walk out here with tag team title gold again. So I've got the Usos, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship matchup with Brock Lesnar defending against John Cena and Seth Rollins in a triple threat matchup. So this one is really unpredictable, like I talked about before. Seth Rollins, what I fear what they're going to do is, with all the talk of John Cena being a failure and everything else, they're going to have John Cena win here by pinning Seth Rollins, and then Brock Lesnar gets pissed afterwards. He takes out John Cena. And this is not like my bold prediction. A lot of people have seen this coming. So this is pretty popular opinion. Hopefully WWE swerves us and does something different, but I'll get to that in a minute. But what I fear they're going to do is have John Cena win by pinning Rollins. That's the whole reason why they added him, for him to take the pinfall. Rollins gets pinned, John Cena picks up the win and the championship. Lesnar goes apeshit after the matchup, attacks John Cena. Seth Rollins cashes in and wins the championship. Like I said before, not something I really want to see. I really don't want to see Rollins going to Mania as champion. Would be cool, I just don't really see it happening. And I also don't want to see John Cena walk out with the championship. I don't really want to see Brock Lesnar drop the title, and I'll get to that, and I'll get to exactly why in a minute. But there's also no real reason to have John Cena walk into WrestleMania as champion. I know there was, the rumors of him versus Roman Reigns. People are going to poop all over that match, but I know it's not exactly a Batista versus Randy Orton. At least it's a fresh match. But Roman Reigns is not getting the greatest of fan support right now, so probably would not be the best course of action for either him or Cena to take. So I'm not in favor of that right now, and I'll get to who I should think should win the Rumble match in just a minute. But Brock Lesnar has to come out of this thing with the championship in tow. And I'll tell you why. Brock Lesnar won that title back at SummerSlam, and I understand a lot of people have been frustrated with the way his reign has been handled, and he's not on Raw, he's not defending the title. I fully understand that. I completely understand where you're coming from. However, if they were going to go through the trouble of putting the belt on Brock Lesnar in the first place, the least they can do is go through the trouble, make it worthwhile and have him drop that championship at WrestleMania to an up-and-coming star, and not Seth Rollins. I mean, Seth Rollins, like I've talked about time and time again, I see him cashing in Money in the Bank probably after WrestleMania, like I've said again. I've said that over and over, because I think there's really no real reason to have him cash in that briefcase before then. So I've got Brock Lesnar going over here. He has to walk into WrestleMania as champion. Otherwise, this whole experiment with him being champion was a complete waste of time. And one can argue whether he holds it to WrestleMania or not. It has been a complete waste of time, but at least make it worthwhile by having him hold that belt up until WrestleMania, because the last 4 months have been a complete waste if not. So I've got Brock Lesnar going over there. Royal Rumble match itself, it really comes down to, you got your Zigglers, you got your Ambroses, maybe even your Wyatts. But at the end of the day, it comes down to Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. And like I said last week, Daniel Bryan absolutely has to come out victorious here. Roman Reigns, simply put, is just not ready. And Daniel Bryan has a ready-made story for him going into WrestleMania to take on the man that he probably was going to face at SummerSlam this year. And the match itself would be kick-ass. And I know there's that believability factor about it, that people wouldn't buy into Daniel Bryan being being a legit threat against Brock Lesnar. People were saying the same thing about CM Punk versus Lesnar back at SummerSlam in 2013, and that match was kick-ass. My favorite, and I think the best matchup of 2013, right up there with John Cena and Daniel Bryan. So I thought that was phenomenal. I think we could see something similar from Bryan and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. And if Daniel Bryan doesn't win the Rumble, then what do you do with him at WrestleMania? Do you do the match that they were going to do last year between him and Sheamus? I mean, the guy is so over right now. He fought through so much adversity to come back for an undercard match or a mid-card match at Mania against, I don't even know. Seth Rollins would be cool, but like they've talked about before, that should not happen until after WrestleMania over the championship. Bryan has to win here. I mean, there's really no other way I can put it. Bryan has to win here. Roman Reigns will get his shot. I still think he's the future. I think he has a lot of potential, a lot of untapped potential, and he will hone his skills over time, but Daniel Bryan must win here, and I think he will win here. And how cool it would be, by the way, if, I was going to mention this on Twitter, but I forgot, and I probably will at some point. But how cool would it be? And I remember, it was a year ago today that Batista returned to WWE, and of course it was Batista who won the Rumble last year, and people pooped all over him and whatever else, and the whole real heat and storyline, of course, was between Batista and Bryan. How cool would it be if Batista made his return to WWE in the Rumble matchup when it came down to him and Daniel Bryan? I think it'd be better if they probably did Bryan and Reigns and Bryan and Ziggler and Ambrose and all those 4 or 5 guys in the final 5, because it's more unpredictable. I mean, if Batista came back, I would get a great reception, obviously, but it's obvious that Daniel Bryan was going to win. And if Roman Reigns' situation, that Roman Reigns was one of the final guys left, it wouldn't be as obvious. It would come down to Reigns and Bryan, and you're thinking to yourself, oh shit, are they really going to give Reigns the victory here? Whereas if it was Batista, it wouldn't have that same effect. But still, though, it would be cool from a storyline standpoint, giving Bryan that win that he should have gotten last year in the Rumble matchup.